What's up, everybody? Episode 93, Mom's Basement MMA. As always, I am your host, Wendell Cobblepot, and joining me today is Mr. Dre Miley. Dre, how are you doing on this fantastic afternoon? We only got 2 more weeks until fight day, man.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. The stricter version of the diet kicks in on Monday. So today's just a relaxation day. Me and the wife went out on a impromptu date night, so that was fun and
yes, sir.
Was much needed for both of us.
Hey, you need to do what you need to do to make sure your mentals are good, the wife's good, happy wife, happy life. Totally get it, man. I'm there myself. We got a huge fight coming up, February 19th, 2022. I did speak with another fighter on that card. I had Cody Jenkins on the show yesterday, and I'm rounding out. You're the main event for this fight. Dre, I wanted to ask, how did this fight come together? And what were you and Coach Turner talking about in just kind of your back and forth leading up to accepting the bout?
They have reached out quite a few times to me, and I told them, like, listen, I don't make my fights. I'm not that type of fighter. You gotta go meet my coach. And this is about the second time. The first time they sent it was like right after the Sweeney fight. And then, we were doing things at the gym that needed to be done, and, time slowed down and I needed to work on things after that fight. And then they mentioned me. I was like, hey, talk to my coach. And then I was like, okay. And then the next card rolls around. I guess they did 7 where, Worthy's brother fought him.
Yes.
I guess that if I had said yes, I'd have been on 7. But, Worthy's brother fought him. I guess so that they had to pick someone else to do it. And then they messaged me and was like, hey, we would love to have you on the fight, blah, blah, blah. I was like, all right, talk to my coach. And then I talked to the coach, and Eric was like, we have a fight. You have a contract. Come sign this contract. And he's like, how do you feel about this fight? Blah, blah, blah. If you think it's worth it, then let's do it. And I'll just, go about it. So that's pretty much all the conversations go between me and Eric. It's like, you like this fight? He'll give me his rundown, but I think you can beat this person this way, this way, this way. And then, long as, everything's in order, and I'm like, I'm good to go. As long as I'm like, all right, I can handle all that, and I'm good to go.
For people who don't know much about Dre, he's been a frequent flyer on the show. I like talking to him multiple times a year. He trains out of Knoxville mixed martial arts, and his head coach is Eric Turner. He's one of the most respected mixed martial arts coaches in the game. Dre, when you think about just the build up to this fight, last year it's safe to say it was like a challenging year for you. There's a lot of things that happened. The Jose Johnson fight I didn't like. I thought I had you winning that fight. There was an incident that happened in that one, and we talked about it last summer where he pokes you in your eye and then nothing. You kind of lose momentum from there. Jose gets it. We bounced back from that a couple months later when you Mark hunted Tim Estruth. Who's a scary guy, actually. Tim is a very scary dude. He's fought overseas. His record doesn't look all that much, but he looks kind of inexperienced, but I promise you guys, he's not. That guy's had a lot of fights in his back pocket. And then later on, in August, we fight John Sweeney. Now, this was a fight that there was a lot of animosity. There's a lot of buildup to this one. And this fight doesn't go the way that we want. It was just one of those weird things where you got caught, and I thought the stoppage was a little bit early. I thought you were in the process of getting up. But it is what it is. There really is no point to dwell on that. Can you talk a little bit? But after the Sweeney fight happened, I know you were upset. I know that you needed some time. How did you just kind of recharge your batteries and get in a good place mentally for this upcoming fight that we have against Ahmet?
Well, after that fight, I had to confront the problem that I had. It wasn't that I could reach out to. I could reach out to my coach and told him how I felt about everything, and it was just the fact that it needed to happen. It wasn't, I did Did I want to fight Sweeney? Absolutely. Did the fight get called too soon? Absolutely. But I put myself in that predicament because I did not fight the way I was supposed to fight. I came out there kind of slow, waiting on him to, waiting to counter on him. And I don't fight like that. So this is just a fact of me not being myself and just wanting to get it over with. Sounds shitty and it sounds like a cop out, but it's honestly got truth. Now that I sit there and think about it, because there's no reason for me to fight like that. There's no ever reason for me to fight like that. So coming back home, sitting there and, crying backstage because I cried like a baby because I was pissed. And my coach looked at me, he goes, things happen. You didn't do your job. And, my coach is very honest with me. And that's one thing that a lot of people don't have in their corner. They have a lot of people being like, yes, you did, this happened, but this, and then they're doing things that coddling. Like, no, my coach was like, this is what happened. You do this, and then that's what happened. So when you start out slow and blah blah, it's like, you're right. And then he told me that one of my training partners, my main training partner, is getting a call up to Bellator, and he was like, hey, I want you to come there. And then instantly my mind switched off because I was like, at any point in time, good news is always around the corner. I completely forgot the fact that I had lost the fight, and I was more excited about going and help my buddy out. So I guess it's just a revolving door of MMA. I can't dwell on it too much because you never know when opportunity comes. There's been people who lose like bad, and I mean like they get starched and they get called up. I mean like you saw Curtis fought on that same card, and he ran through his dude, and in his UFC debut he almost got beat. So I mean, it's just the nature of the beast. You can't dwell on things. You can't give things too much meaning. So
I'm a little pissed off at Curtis because he cost me money, man. Like that guy, like he got called up. I should probably apologize to Curtis because he messed up. I believe it was Brendan Allen he messed up, and he was a huge underdog. He walked in and he made a statement, and I was like, this guy's too small. Brendan Allen's gonna freaking hook him up. He can't be fighting at 185 pounds, and he did. And he hooked it up, man. So hey, I have nothing but respect for Curtis, and he made me pay for it with my wallet, man. That's just the way the fight business works.
It is. And then the next XMMA card, you see John Dotson get beat by who is it? Bakinak or not Bakinak? Whoever it was, it got beat by him. And then that dude still not got called up to UFC or Bellator. So you're just like, you just gotta keep plugging along. You can't give any meaning to fight games nowadays. And I think the fact that like, if I was like, dang, if I beat Sweeney, this is a huge platform. Like people are gonna see it. And Frank Mir was there, a bunch of ex-UFC guys was there. I was like, I beat this guy. I'm definitely getting called up. So I was focused on the wrong things.
You have to, easier said than done because you can't help but think about it. Like you're 30 years old. You are in your athletic prime. You've been doing this for a long time. And you've been working your ass off for an opportunity like that. So I don't blame you for thinking like that, or you say get caught up and all that stuff, but that's like natural. And I get it to a point, but you're highlighting something that's important. And it's like, yeah, that's all time and place for that stuff. You can sit on your sofa and think about all that, but like we got work to do. Like we need to think about the guy that's ahead of us, and you kind of need to like just like flip that switch off in your brain for a second and just focus on the man in front of you.
Right. Absolutely.
Dre,
always.
One of the interesting things about just the way that we're fighting, and this is a question I've been asking a lot of folks that are at your level, guys that have been on the regional scene for a bit, they're veterans in the game. Opportunities, I feel, are just showing up for guys more and more and more. Fights always fall through. There are always injuries. There's always going to be pullouts. But with the Rona on top of it, you get a coach, one of your cornermen gets the vid, all of a sudden your fight's scrapped and they're looking for somebody who can make the weight. And there are a few guys that have gotten called up in that manner. Chris Matino is one. He fought in the New England scene for a number of years. I'm going to talk to Eric Gonzalez. I know he didn't get called up. I don't think he got called up because of Corona, but there was a fight cancellation. He had to fight Jim Miller on short notice. Like there are all these short notice fights that are happening, UFC, PFL, Bellator. And like, what's some kind of advice that you would give people that don't have maybe as much of experience as you, but maybe there may be one or two fights away. Is it really important to just kind of like, hey man, you got to stay ready because you just never know? Is just the table I set and just kind of the way life is today, does that kind of like serve as a good reminder or a good example? Like, hey, y'all need to be ready, man. Just because like you need to be close to your fighting weight, relatively speaking.
That's what we say at our gym all the time. You have to stay ready, so you don't have to get ready.
Mm-hmm.
And people say it, and I don't think people. It's one of those things that people say it, but they won't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, I'm staying ready. Like, no, you're not, because you're not. You know, and like you said, there's call ups happening, and the perks of being at the gym that I'm at, you know, being under Eric all the time, you don't have a choice but to be ready, because you know they're snatching everybody up, and you know, as well connected as as our gym is, and how well respected, because they're going to look at our gym first. They're going to be like, hey, who do you have? And with all of us training every single day, you're going to run into that. So all the other fighters who are like sitting on their couch, or you know, half-ass training, or they're just busy doing personal lessons and stuff, they train your asses off, because it's, if you want Bellator, if you want UFC, it's happening. Because I know for a fact that Bellator knows my name. They know who my teammates are. They know UFC knows who. You know, they know, but they're waiting on you to pop up and be like, all right, we're gonna give you the shot. What are you gonna do with it?
Yeah, exactly. And one of the things with your weight class in particular, it's freaking cutthroat, man. Like when I think of the UFC, when I think of the toughest weight class, I think of two in particular. I think of lightweight and I think of yours. And depending on what day it is, I might say the 35 is the toughest one. Then I might change my mind the next day and say it's the 55. But I'm constantly going back between 35 and 55. It's so freaking competitive. And I think it's like definitely one of those types of situations where you have to make like a really compelling reason for them to want to bring you in. It can be done, but you have to like, it's not like winning, I feel isn't enough. Like it's not like a heavyweight where it's like, hey, do you have a winning record? Do you have a pulse? Can you make the weight? Okay, cool. Come on in. It ain't like that for you. Like you kind of have to get into the show on style points. That sounds terrible to say, but it's almost like that. So are you feeling like a newfound sense of, I don't know if urgency is the right word, but like in the back of your mind, is it like, no, like not only do I have to win, but I gotta like choke these guys out. I gotta knock these guys out. Like, do you have to like toggle it on to like fight finishing mode now?
Not really. From my personal benefit, I always like to finish a fight, but I don't care if UFC was like, hey, you need to do this, you need to do that. You are going to want to watch me fight. That's just exactly how it is. And I think that a lot of people try to go for finishes and they tend to get reckless. But then, you know, you made this career of finishing people. And then when you get to UFC, you're like, I can't finish this person. So that's what happens. People tend to fizzle out and people are like, well, this guy's a finisher. And then you get starched. And then next thing you know, you're on the regional scene. I don't think it's all about finishes. I don't think it's not about that. I think it's about your reputation. I think it's about your standings. I think it's about the pull you get with people around you.
That's a good point.
You get some, yeah. Can you get people to come watch you? And it ain't even like buying tickets. It's more so like, can I get views? Can like, oh shit, I have this person. So say like UFC or Bellator called me and they're like, hey, we have this guy here who fights, you know, he has one eye and he's in the bantamweight division. Those are two things right there that make people be like, okay, I have to watch this, because one, bantamweight is stacked, like you said. Two, you know, he has one eye and there's no possible way that he can do that. That to me pulls people in.
It does.
You have to have a story. You have to have something like that. You can't just put, oh, this guy's a finisher, because from top to bottom in the bantamweight division, hell, any division, everybody finishes. Everybody has finishes. There's no like straight up decision guys. The last guy who was like known for just the decisions was, you know, Damian Maya. And
right,
you know,
that's absolutely true. And you know what, man, I've always thought, and it's not to say it's not significant, because it is significant. Like there are a lot of noise that's made, you know, case in point, and you talked about it on your Instagram story. Brian Battle's like, hey man, I only need one eye. Like what one of his eyes was like closed shut. Like he couldn't see for crap out of it. And he said, dude, I only need one eye. So I think you guys are making a bigger deal out of it than what it really was. Like, I'm
Mhm.
paraphrasing what Battles said, but that's more or less what he said. Like, people always like go back to that with you. And again, not to downplay the significance of it, but Nick Newell's got one freaking hand and he's in Bellator and he's fighting people and he does well. Like,
Mhm.
I feel like people think about like they looked so much at the eye thing, and it's like, well, Nick Newell, he's hooking it up at a high level and he's good.
Well,
He's a good fighter. Like, why aren't people talking about that guy more?
I think people don't want to see it because it's impossible to them. The fight with one arm or one eye or one leg. It's to them and like people who are very close minded. Because let's be honest, there's a lot of people like that.
Mm-hmm.
They fathom that as impossible. They can never think about doing that. Like I have people who like come to the gym and they see me every single day. And like I don't even understand. Like one guy was telling me, he's like, man, I got poked in the eye and like I was trying to drive home and I couldn't understand how you do it. He's like, how the hell do you drive home? I was like, just it's a skill. You
Mm-hmm.
work at it for a while and you're forced to do it. It's just the same thing. If you broke your arm like Vince did against John Jones, people didn't know. He's like, and he fought him to 5 rounds with a broken arm. So I mean, it's people who are closed minded will never understand how extraordinary your body is, how extraordinary your body can overcome silly things. It's ridiculous.
Well,
You're
but
no longer, yeah.
well,
Yeah.
it's just you're at a point now where it's like you've not only competed at a professional level, like number one, like this is just basic math. This is just reality. Most people don't make it to your level. They don't. Like that's just the harsh reality of this game. Like this game chews people up and it spits them out. Like
Oh,
people find out really quickly whether or not you have what it takes to do this. I think it's true. Like, there's definitely people that fight for the gram and fight for the attention and fight for the likes, but there are levels to this. And like when you get
100%.
at your level, you start realizing like all the demands that it takes, like all the outside the cage stuff. I'm not talking about the fighting, but it's like, okay, well, in order to compete well at this level, I have to eat certain things. I have to put in X amount of hours in the training. I have to do this much cardio. And it's like, there's this list of requirements that's like this that you have to
Mm-hmm.
do. But you also have a family. You have a wife. You have kids. You got your rent to pay, your mortgage to pay, whatever the case may be. And it's like, but those requirements, they only get longer. Like the higher level you get at, like to sustain that level, like the requirement list keeps, like there are more and more
Mm-hmm.
things that keep stacking up and more things that you got to do. And so it's like, do you really want to be a fighter? Like, are you willing to like cross off methodically every single one of those things? And that's just the outside the cage stuff. Now you have to go to your gym 6 7 days a week, and you have to put on your gi and do a bunch of stuff that you might not like to do because you're not feeling good and you want to eat a cheeseburger. But there you are.
Mm-hmm.
You got to do what you got to do, and it's a grind, man.
So I tell all the young fighters who are like, they got some young guys who are like very, you know, you know,
20,
excited. Yeah, they're like, I
22.
want to fight. Yeah, like, yeah, I want to fight. Like, I can't wait to do this. I was like, or they got guys who are just starting out. Like, I don't ever try to discourage nobody from fighting, but I always try to shoot you straight.
Yeah.
Like, then we were having a match chat one night, and I got into a sermon with it. But like, I was just saying, if you fighting is kind of like being in a relationship, like you're going to automatically trust it
Mm-hmm.
because it's new. Whatever bullshit comes with it, you're going to trust it. Whenever things start getting hard, are you still going to be able to trust that game? Or are you still going to be able to trust the process of it? Like, oh, I lost this fight. Oh, it's because my diet was bad, or it's because I had a bad day. It's like, but did you really trust the entire process? And the process is exactly what you said, the requirements that you have to do outside and the requirements you have to do inside. I'm like, do you trust the process or do you love it? That's the difference between being at a high level that I see.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see it as like I can just trust it, but to love something and know that the yin and the yang that come with it, that's to me shows me that you're ready to fight. To me, that shows that you are on that path. A lot of people don't love the process; they just trust it. And again, they just say it like it's a cliche. It's like, oh, I trust the process. Well, I do this. You can trust it, but also do you love it? You have to have both. You can't just have one or the other.
You're absolutely right. It's like it kind of goes back to you have to embrace that grind. Like you have to find that grind enjoyable because if you don't, you're I don't know, you're running towards something. And
you're just doing enough.
Yeah, exactly. And you have to love the grind, man. Like that, truly, you have to. And this is like after talking to like hundreds of fighters, it's like here's like my main takeaway. It's like this is a game that's not for everybody. Like, listen, I'm not saying like everyone could be a professional baseball player, but everyone can play baseball. Everyone can. Like, you may not be at a high level, but like I have a 5-year-old son, man. We could put a T-ball up and he could start ripping them across the field, right? You can do that. You can do that at that level. You can play softball. You can play in a rec league. You can play in a beer league. Like, it's a more approachable sport and it's more accessible for people. Mixed martial arts isn't like that, man. Like, yeah, there are Amis and stuff that are on the scene, but it's like you could, if your heart's not in it 100%, you can get away with it if you're good enough. You could like kind of skate a little bit if you're good enough, if you're getting by on like a special unique talent. But when you go pro, you'll see these like 6-0, 7-0, 8-0 guys. They go pros, and then all of a sudden it's like you're in the Shark Tank now, baby. Like, that's where the real guys are. And if you haven't gotten found out, you're about to get found out if you don't change, if you don't become more methodical and take the shit seriously.
Yes.
And that could be hard to do. That could be hard to do, especially if you've had a lot of success in the past, because you probably are young and you've probably bought into your own hype now.
Yep. And that's why you see a lot of guys catch fire and they fizzle out super fast. That's exactly what it is. I've seen it firsthand, and there were some old, I was talking to a few of my teammates, and because when we were coming up, it was like the Wild West of MMA. It was like you learn a couple techniques and then you spar. And that was it. That was every day, and it didn't matter size wise, didn't matter none of this. But then like the guys that were beating us up were like they were like amazing. You're like, holy crap, this dude is a beast. This dude is awesome, blah, blah, blah. But then like we sit there and think about it, like these guys wasn't really like that good. They did good with what they were at, but they never changed. So like nowadays, like, since we're the upper guys and we're like, hey, you need to step outside your box. And I think the young kids are like, nah, I'm good at striking. I'm a kickboxer. I can do spinning back kicks, or I'm a wrestler. I can put somebody on their head. I was like, yeah, that's fine. But like you said, you're going to run into somebody that can do that too. And, eventually they're going to run out of amateurs, and eventually you're going to have to turn pro. And that's when it gets serious.
The real ones know what adjustments they need to make in the octagon to get a win, no matter what. A good case in point of that, it wasn't high level. It may have been like white belt shit, but Francis Ngannou versus Cyril Gane, perfect example. We all know Francis has that one punch power. Cyril Gane is a point fighter, but he's talented. He's a very talented striker. And he did knock out Derek Lewis. Like, that's an accomplishment. People do not knock out Derek Lewis, but he did. And then you saw Francis Ngannou do something that I don't think any of us ever thought we would see a Francis Ngannou fight go the way that it did. Like, that man, like, he should have come out in a singlet. He had those knee sleeves on. I'm like, oh shit! Like, are we gonna see some freaking Cain Velasquez type shit? And it wasn't high level, but I will say this: like, keep in mind, you're talking about a guy who's made his living for a decade plus, knocking people out, and then he flipped that switch. He went into this camp like, no, I'm gonna take this guy down. Like, he may have been driven because of injury, because of physical issues, but like, he was willing to get out of his comfort zone and find a way to win. And that's one of the things I like about you so much, is like, having watched your tape, and when I look at like all your fights that are out there, you find ways to win. Simple as that. Like, you find ways to win. Like, you can, your standing net guillotine is freaking awesome. You use your Muay Thai against S-Truth, like on the clinch, get him exactly where you want him, and Mark Hunt the guy. And now we're facing a really tough guy. I hope I don't say his last name wrong. And if I do and he's watching this, I apologize. But his name's Ahmet Kayretli. He is a very scary guy. I'll be straight with everybody. Like, he's good. He's not a scrub. He's very good. If I thought he sucked, I would say he's probably not the greatest. But I'm telling you, this guy is a bad dude. And that's who you have to fight to get the Rocket Combat Sports bantamweight title. What do you think? Like, when you look at a guy like Ahmet, he comes across to me, I could be wrong, but from what I see from him, he looks like a very good Muay Thai guy. He looks like he's very good in the clinch. He looks like he's strong. He looks like he's fast. It looks like his striking is very, very good. In some respects, he kind of almost reminds me of Tim S-Truth. What do you think about your opponent, and what do you think he does well?
He lulls people. When I watched his last fight, he kind of like lulls people in. Like, when he fought Worthy, Worthy was giving it to him, but like, he kind of like, I don't know, he's very like seductive. And I don't want to say seductive, but that's the word I can use. Is that he'll get hit and he'll like shoulder. He's like showsman. That's what he is. He's a showsman, and like, everything he throws is just counter. And like, very rarely you see him come out blitzing anybody. Very rarely you see him starting out fast. He has to build himself up, because I don't know why. That's his style. He tries to throw everything to, knock people out, try to do this. Is that I've already fought him before. I've already fought a fighter like him, with Jose Johnson. Jose Johnson was a Muay Thai guy, and Jose Johnson was known for knocking people out, and I went 3 rounds with him. Not much he can do.
Well, you were winning the fight until the eye incident, I felt.
Yeah. So, I mean, and I stood and I could stand with him. That was the problem. The funny thing was my coach was like, you don't have to take him to the ground. You're winning. You can stand up and bang with him if you want to. I was like, all right. With him, I don't really care. It's like, you have a kick that you throw in 3 places, and you have a punch that you throw in 2 places. And the worst thing that you could do is think that this is going to be a fight where you can just chill out, because no disrespect to Worthy, but I'm better than him. And I know I have power in my hands, because it's not the knee that knocked out Tim S-Truth. It was the overhands that I was throwing. It was the combos that I was throwing that set all that up into motion. So I respect the skills. I watched clip on him and saw there was a clip of Dana White telling him, like, hey, you're a monster at striking. If you had a ground game, we would sign you. I'm like, okay, so are you going to still do it? Because obviously you didn't take his advice, because you stood up the entire time with, Worthy. So
we'll see what happens. And it's one of those things, like, I think for you and where you are in your career, and what I want you to have a good fight. I want you to face the toughest, scariest version of this guy that's around, because that's what's going to make you better. And that's a big feather in your cap. If you can beat a guy like this, I think that proves to people, like, hey, listen, I haven't taken back-to-back L's in my entire career, AMI or pros, and I'm not about to start now. Give me that strap. I've worked my ass off for it. Give it to me. Like, that's mine. I'm taking it. I'm coming up here and I'm taking what's mine. And I just you just seem to, in the interactions I've had with you, you just seem like you're way more, I don't know if focus is the right word. Just maybe a little bit. I don't know. You're just different. I can't describe it. Your mentality, I feel, is a lot different for this one compared to the last fight.
Yeah. I feel I haven't had time to process this. I had time to run scenarios, but like, there's no way that he's training harder than me. And Coach Eric has changed training all around for everybody. We're not doing the normal stuff. We went to something harder and something that has improved my gas tank. And, it's improved everything. So it's totally different. The other fight camps, like, we would do the same old stuff. Like, we'd spar, blah, blah, blah. But now it's like, he's advised it to where we are gearing towards world championship levels. Now, gearing towards just regional shit. We're trying to all get to that UFC and that Bellator level to where like we get there, yeah, we're gonna be brought in to be lambs of slaughter, but it ain't gonna matter because we're going to be the ones doing the slaughtering. So that's just what it is, man. My mentality is just like there's nothing that scares me anymore because I used to be afraid of being knocked out. Now I'm like I don't even care.
Right.
So it's like
Right.
you can do your best, you do your worst, but just know that you're going to pay for it. You're going to pay for it. I have 5, possibly 4 or 5 rounds to play with you, and I'm just letting you kill yourself.
This is your second fight in the row on the road. The last fight was in South Carolina, and this one is in Virginia. Hey, I'll take that all day, every day, because I'm a Virginia guy. And hey, man, like you don't understand how excited I was. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't have to drive freaking 8 hours for this goddamn fight now. It's right in my backyard, man. Like I'll be there in an hour. For you, though, it's a little bit different. Like a bulk of your fights have happened in front of your hometown people there in Knoxville. There are a lot of people that typically go for you. Like they go to these cards specifically to watch you fight. And there's a lot of like management of expectations for that. And whether you feel this way or not, I feel like anytime you're fighting in front of like your crowd and you've like sold a lot of tickets, it's like there's like these expectations that build up. This is an instance where you're going into a situation. I don't think it's going to be as intense as South Carolina, but it like people are generally, I'm probably the only dude there going for you. Right? Like most of these people don't know who you are. Like this guy trains locally. He trains in Falls Church, I think, which is closer to Washington, D.C. Most of the people from his gym, like friends of that gym, are going to show up and be there for their boy. Like I would expect that. You're the outsider. You're the guy that they're bringing in from Tennessee to fight their boy. Like I said, I don't think it's going to be quite as intense as South Carolina because that shit was intense. I know firsthand. I almost got my ass whipped and I was just rooting for you. I mean, you weren't lying, man. Like you told me people didn't like you down there before. You're like, hey, man, they don't like me down there. And I was just like, yeah, okay, dude, whatever. But dude, you're right, man. They really don't like you down there.
Yeah, a lot of South Carolina people don't like me. And I don't know why. They really don't like me. And then it's just weird because like Virginia is like, it's like a coming home type thing.
Yeah.
Because what a lot of people don't realize is that most of my amateur fights took place in Virginia.
Right.
Like I won my first belt in Virginia. I defended my first belt in Virginia. You know, I've made a good, stand. I'm still friends with most people who live in Virginia. So and people are like, oh, it's a foreign thing. It's like I used to fight in Virginia all the time. So this is it's not like a foreign thing to me. Like I might reach out to some people like, hey, I'm fighting in Virginia. And some people might just show up. So, I know there's a few people buying tickets and there's a few people that want to come. So it'd be nice to have a cheering section. But as far as that, I ain't worried about it. And then even fighting at home, like I never was bothered by, oh shit, who's here? Who's showing up? Like, I didn't care. It's like buy a ticket because it was the thing to do. It's helping me get my name out. I mean, I'm going to fight whether you bought a ticket or not. So I didn't really put too much stock into that.
I think it's just, I've always kind of said this to people, and maybe it's just because you have a lot more fights under your belt. But like, if I were to think about it, it would just be like, hey, man, I want to be the visitor for these fights. Why? Because there's no expectations on me. Like all the pressure's on the other guy to take care of his shit. For me, I just got to show up and be the best version of me and fight this fight on my terms and whatever. And we'll see where the chips fall where they may, but let him manage all those expectations, not me. And I'm just fine with there being crickets after I win. I'm just fine with that. I don't mind that at all. I'd welcome that.
Yep, that's exactly how it feels right now. It's like again, we're like, they were like, hey, I want you to make a couple posts a day, blah blah blah. I'm like, all right, yeah, I could do that. And like he pulled a Sweeney and he's like offline. Like he's blocked me off his stuff. I guess he's trying to get opponent? Zone. Yeah, like I can't find it. Like I tried to click on, I got tagged in a post, and I was like, all right, just click on, see what he's posting. Like I have no ill will towards you. Like,
yeah,
I mean, But like he's like, it's like user not found. So I was like, this dude done blocked me. I was like, I don't care what you do. You have fights out there. You're 13 fights in. I'm
Yeah.
13 fights in. What the hell does it matter if I see what you do? I know you like to kick. I got it. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like Jose Johnson liked to kick too. And you know how many kicks he threw? 3. Because I
Mm-hmm.
checked the first one, checked the second one, returned on the third one, and he didn't like that shit. So he stopped kicking me. So I don't care. Like it's a fight. Like
Yeah.
somebody's got to go.
There's enough tape on both of you. You both have been competing at a professional level for a number of years. There's going to be tape. It's not hard. Trust me. Like I'm here in my basement. I find tape on all y'all, and listen. You don't need a freaking degree in freaking quantum physics to do that. YouTube that shit. It's out there. Like you're gonna find it, man. So it's like there are a lot of guys that are nervous about their tape being out there, and they kind of go to some extremes. I'm just like, dude, anyone with 5 minutes in Google is gonna find you. Whether you're a construction worker or a fighter, like, dude, trust me, people will find you.
Yeah. So funny thing is, when this fight started getting announced and everything, everybody was getting sick. He had messaged me and asked me to do like a catch weight at like 140. This is a long time ago. I ain't paid attention to it. And I was like, I'm comfortable making 135. But his like stance was like, hey, how about we do a catch weight at 140? It still be for the belt, but like, people are getting sick. And it was a legit reason. It was like, yeah, people are getting sick, and I hate for the fight to fall apart because of this. I'm like, I can make 35. I said, if you really have a problem with that, you go talk to my coach. But he like tried to pawn it off on me to go talk to my coach about it. I was like, no. It's like, you have a problem with making weight, you go talk to my coach. I'm making weight. So
yeah,
to me, that was already at the beginning. I was like, yeah, I already know what you're about. And then, blocking me on, social media, I'm like, okay, I see what's about to happen. Something weird's about to happen. Because I kept telling my team, I was like, they're like, how you feeling about this fight? I was like, something weird's happening. Like this, something, because like everything's going too good. It's going way too good. Like everything's been hitting. I've been hitting my combos, been feeling good. And it's just like, and I connecting the dots. I'm like, something weird's about to happen. Like it really might happen. Like a fight will happen, but there's going to be some kind of shenanigans go down on Friday for weigh-ins.
That fight has to happen. And if that means he has to pay a fat guy tax, then that's his problem. You got to make, we're going to be on weight. We're going to be ready to go. And, it just can't be a bad miss. Like homie can't show up here at 150 pounds or anything like that. Like,
yeah, I don't think that ever happened.
I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. He's a professional. He'll make the weight.
Like my teammates were like, why is all your opponents like talking to you? I was like, I don't know. Like,
because you're friendly.
Yeah, so I guess so. So I just thought that was funny. I didn't throw shade at him, but it's just the truth. It's just, it's hilarious to me.
After this, like, I know you're fixated on what's in front of you, and you're not really the type of guy that's going to like lose sight of what you have in front of you. Like, we got a big fight in a couple weeks. I know this is primarily what's on your mind, but like, what does a successful 22 look like for you? We had some adversity last year. Just where you are at this point in your career, like, what are some of your goals that you have for this year?
I guess ultimately it's just get signed. That's it. It doesn't matter how many fights it takes at this point. If I have to go 10-5 or 11-5, I will do that. At the end of 2022, I want to have either UFC or Bellator attached to my name. That's exactly all I want.
I think it's realistic. I think Bellator in particular, I think the path to Bellator is maybe a little more easy. And the reason why I say that is because, well, I'll be real. I've said this to a few people. Bellator brings in people to lose, and they're obvious about it. Like, they do it all the damn time. And I won't say who it was. I won't drop his name. I had a guest on my show who was in a weight class. He was brought in to fight one of their guys, Aaron Pico. They wanted him to fight, and they wanted to pay him a 2 and 2.
Yeah, that's insane.
And he was just like, Unless there's a zero after that too, go fuck yourself. I'm not doing that.
That's what they do, though. They do that. They're trying to grow any way they can because they need Aaron Pico to be a star. They need stars.
Yeah,
That's all Bellator is missing from to compete with UFC.
I
I've
think.
already said it to people that are in Bellator and 135. I already put my name into people's minds.
Yeah,
Like Hornell Lugo. I've already talked to him. I was like, I'm gonna come get you, and like, him and Danny Sabatello and Cass Bell and you know Jalen Bates, those guys like that. I've already put my name out there, and they just laugh it off like, whatever. You're not gonna make it. It's like, oh, but I'm close. As soon as you have it falling out, I'm
hmm
close.
yeah.
So
Well, as soon as one of your opponents fall off, I'll see you in my DMs.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
Like I'm gonna get it. Like I will push for it. Like, and I will make a post about it because I've said it. I've commented on Bellators. I've had people say something. So like, I'm a 35er. I'm ready to go. We all do that. All fighters do that. Twitter, on Instagram, stuff like that. We don't mean no harm by it, but just like a thing, like, hey, look at me, type thing.
hey,
So,
I'll just say it's plausible because you know what? The best thing that could happen to you would be like a Ben Parrish type situation where he's brought in to lose to a guy. They made him fight. It was Christian Edwards, who's one of their guys that they're trying to build up. I like Christian Edwards too. I have no animosity to Christian Edwards whatsoever. He's from Jackson Wink. He's a very talented light heavyweight, and he's a young guy. He's like 23, 24 years old. He's going to be something else. The point I'm trying to make is they brought Ben in to lose to this guy, and Ben starched him. They knocked him. He knocked his ass out, and
yeah, he did.
that shit was not supposed to happen. And Scott Coker had a problem on his hands. He's like, well, shit, now I got to bring this big tuna guy back. I don't want to, that wasn't part of the plan. Like, this was supposed to be a one off type situation. And, I know the last fight didn't go Ben's way. That was disappointing. But the point is, like, Bellator was in a position where they're forced to bring him back. And this is something that your coach is familiar with. And you've seen this happen in your gym before, too. Taylor, it was the same thing with her. Like, she was not supposed to beat Heather Hardy. Like, that was not supposed to happen. Like, and they had to bring her back. They had to bring Taylor back because she just beat up their little star. They had to bring her back. And I think that is like what I think you need to follow a similar path. And hey man, Bellator pays good. So
Yeah.
I mean, I like
there are
Bellator.
things. Yeah, I do too. I would much rather go to Bellator than anything. I mean, it's probably already in the works as it is. They're probably everybody's just waiting. Like that's all it is. Everybody's just waiting on that one moment. They're just waiting on that one fight. That's all of this. That's all I keep thinking about. Is like they're just waiting on me to have this one fight. It's just one thing for everything to come together and be like.
I think this is the fight. Honestly, Dre, I think this is the fight. I don't know. I don't know where you're going to get fights where you're going up against guys this good. Sweeney's good too. Yeah, like I'll give Sweeney props. I think he's a talented fighter, but to like make your case you have to fight the scariest guys in the room. And Sweeney was one of them. Jose was one of them. This Ahmet dude, he's another scary dude in the room that you have to fight. That's how you get there. Like to get to the show, you got to beat guys like this. If you beat a guy like this, like you need to have his name on your Tapology with a green box next to it that says, yeah, I beat that guy. Like that's what it's going to take for you to get a call, I feel.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. That's all it is. Got the game plan to do it. I just, got to do it. That's all it is.
Well, Dre, before I let you go, man, I just want to say, like, I am very, very excited for this fight, and I'll catch you on the 19th, man. I'll see you.
All right, man. It's gonna be a fun night. Look
Dre,
forward to it.
Dre, I want to give you the last word. I know that you have some folks that are helping you out. I know that you signed with a sponsor in Tennessee, a local company. I'd like to give you an opportunity to talk about any thank yous for the people at KMMA or any of your sponsors that you'd like to talk about.
Just thank you. Send a special shout out to everybody that's helped me throughout this camp and all the other camps. Best team in the world, KMA. Everybody from top to bottom's helped me with this camp. James Adcock's been my number one partner for years, and hopefully he gets his fight soon. And Taylor, she's my nutritionist, so she's been got me on a different diet, which is not as it's really not bad. Like I love this diet more than anything. I get steak in the morning,
Oh.
which is just ridiculous. Yeah, I know, right? You know, Eric Turner for always pushing me, always, keeping me centered, keeping me on that path. Everybody at KMA, my new sponsors, Tennessee Bonding, they really jumped on board, was like, yeah, we want to, help you out. Because you sponsor me too. So I'm wearing your shirt. So yeah, I appreciate you always being there for me, always talking with me about fights and stuff like that. You know, Frankie's Body Shop, I'm doing my strength conditioning there. So they keep me in pretty good shape, and more important, my wife and kids, they give me that drive to go forward. And, my wife is on to me right now because she's like, you're this close and you need to push. And like, because, it's good money. She sees what happens and she knows how bad I want it. And she also knows how bad it needs to be done because she's in nursing school. So it just seems fitting for all to happen. Was it Smith Clothing? They make out my walkout shirts. So, and the list goes on and on. So just a huge thank you to all my family and, friends who buy tickets, who supported me throughout the years. Hopefully we get this one done. Not trying to finish this guy in the first round, not trying to do anything. Just trying to go in there and do my game plan. Wherever he goes is where he goes.
That's right, man. I love to see it. I partnered up with Dre. If you like that shirt that he's wearing, you can buy it. And I have a bunch of other cool stuff on my shirt. He has if you enter the code Miley10 in checkout, you will get a discount, and Dre gets a cut of that. That helps fund. Every little bit helps. So anything that you could do to help fund his camp and the expenses that he's incurred getting ready for this guy, it would probably help him out a lot. So please check that out if you're interested. And Dre, man, I'm gonna see you on the other side, man. We'll see you in 2 weeks, man. I will be ready, and I'm looking forward to it, my friend.
I'm looking forward to it too. Oh yeah, I have 2 more people I had to think. I forgot about them. It's Amari Global, Donald Hopkins. He's been helping out with us, like this mental side of things, like drinks and stuff like that. Sounds kind of funny, but it stuff actually works. It helps out with your gut, brain, and stuff like that, your mental stuff. And then Money Fight. If you need good boxing gloves, go to Money Fight. And I think my code is Dragon15. And they'll hook you with some boxing gloves and some hand wraps. Probably the best boxing gloves and hand wraps I've ever had. So
in the description of this video, the link for that, I'm going to grab it and it'll be down there. So check out the description for this video. All Dre's links and stuff will be there. And hey, man, I love the idea of you taking health pots. I think it's fantastic. Let's get the mana health pots. Let's get the build up the stamina health pots. Plus 10 to all skills, plus 5 to the dexterity, and then we got that finishing move that I taught you. So, but we aren't going to talk about that.
That's right.
We're keeping that under wraps. I taught Dre some, hey, listen, man, where do you guys think this came from? Okay. I got all kinds of shit you guys don't even know about. I talked to Dre. I showed him some my off the turnbuckle shit. Heavyweight champ, baby. Don't ever fucking forget it.